I never planned on becoming anyone's hero. My name is Jack Reed, and on most days I'm just a dispatcher sitting in a dimly lit control booth on Nova Haven, the big orbital station hugging Saturn's rings. I route cargo haulers, yell at captains who ignore lane protocols, and dream about maybe one day affording a cabin with a real window instead of recycled air and recycled views. That Tuesday, the annual Alliance Accord kicked off. The whole station went into full quarantine lockdown, standard procedure for the big diplomatic circus. No one in, no one out. I was stuck delivering the last batch of manifests to the ceremony hall when the blast doors slammed shut. Suddenly, I'm trapped in the observation gallery with a bunch of board aides and minor delegates, staring down at the main floor. In the center, on a raised podium made of that rare crystalline ice they mined from Enceladus, stood Queen Eira of the Xavir Empire. Or what was left of it. Her silver robes caught every light in the hall and threw it back like broken mirrors. Tall, elegant, pointed ears sweeping back like wings, amber eyes fixed somewhere far beyond the viewports. She hadn't moved in hours. I checked the chrono, 3 hours exactly. Delegates approached one by one, 24 so far. Each one circled her like she was a used freighter on the auction block, recited some polite diplomatic garbage, and rejected her. Publicly, loudly, in front of representatives from half the settled systems. Every "I decline" landed like a slap, but her face never changed. Not once. Then, right at the start, before the first rejection even, I swear I heard her whisper. So quiet the translators didn't catch it, but I did. English, clear as day. You still remember that voice. She said it to no one. Or maybe to the empty air. No one around me reacted. They were too busy murmuring about trade concessions and border disputes. I rubbed my ears, figuring the low-frequency hum of the station was playing tricks. But the words stuck. They felt personal, like they weren't meant for this room at all. Another delegate stepped forward, a fat trader from the asteroid belts, gold chains clinking, smirk already in place. He didn't even bother circling. Just stood there, looked her up and down, and said through the translator, "Xavir's a graveyard with a crown." I decline. Eira inclined her head exactly 15 degrees. Same as always. My legs were killing me from standing. My back ached. My data pad was burning a hole in my pocket with undelivered manifests my boss was probably screaming about 3 decks down. And still she stood there. Alone. Perfectly still. Taking it. I didn't know her story then. Didn't know the empire she was trying to save. Didn't know why her whisper had hooked something deep in my chest. I just knew I couldn't keep watching. The trader's laugh still echoed off the crystalline walls when something inside me snapped. I'd been standing there for 3 hours too, legs numb, back screaming, data pad clutched like a lifeline to a normal life that was slipping away with every polite "I decline." 24 rejections. 24 times she'd tilted her head exactly 15 degrees, said something formal in her own language that the translators turned into "gratitude for your consideration," and watched another potential savior walk away. The trader turned his back on her. Didn't bow. Didn't even finish the ritual. Just waddled off chuckling, chains clinking, like he'd won a bar bet. Eira stood alone on that glowing ice disk. Shoulders still straight. Face still calm. But I saw it. The tiniest tremor in the fingers wrapped around her ceremonial staff. The way her amber eyes drifted to the viewport, searching the black between stars for something that wasn't there. I don't know what pushed me. Maybe it was the whisper I'd heard at the beginning. Maybe it was the way my own mother used to stand like that when the bills came due. Dignified, unbreakable, even when everything was falling apart. Maybe I was just tired of watching people treat someone like garbage. Before my brain could talk my legs out of it, I moved. Security lights flashed red. Drones whirred. Voices shouted protocol violations. I didn't care. I stepped over the sacred boundary line, the one that separated observers from participants, and my boot hit the ice with a crack that silenced the entire hall. I dropped to one knee. Not gracefully. My bad knee popped like a cheap rivet gun. The cold burned through my uniform pants. I looked up at her. She was closer now. Those pointed ears framed her face like dark wings. Her eyes, luminous amber, widened for the first time all day. Shock. Confusion. Something else I couldn't name. The words came out steadier than I felt. "I'm no diplomat," I said. "No prince. No noble from any fancy colony. I'm just a driver. A freight dispatcher who got stuck here because your ceremony master apparently never heard of emergency exits. A nervous laugh escaped me. But I've watched you stand up here for 3 hours with more grace than anyone in this room has shown. And I figure that counts for something. The ceremony master sputtered behind me. Someone yelled about regulations. Security drones hovered, but the lockdown protocols kept them sluggish. I kept my eyes on her. So if you'll have a guy who spends most of his time arguing about container weights and can barely remember which fork goes where at fancy dinners, I'm offering. Can't promise I won't embarrass you, but I can promise I'll show up. Silence stretched, long enough that I started wondering if I'd just committed the galaxy's dumbest career suicide. Then she smiled. It wasn't the diplomatic mask she'd worn all day. It was small, real, and it transformed her entire face, like sunlight breaking through Saturn's clouds. I accept, she said. Quiet, clear, in perfect English. The hall exploded. Shouts, gasps, translators overlapping in a dozen languages. The ceremony master actually staggered backward like he'd been hit. Delegates clustered into frantic groups. My datapad pinged with incoming messages. My boss, probably having a stroke 3 decks down. I stayed on my knee, suddenly aware of how cold the ice was and how badly my heart was hammering. Eira extended her hand. Not to help me up, just offered it. Palm up. An invitation. I took it. Her skin was warm despite the ice beneath us. Her grip surprisingly strong. Security finally reached us, but she raised her other hand, and they froze mid-stride. Escort us to medical, she told them. Then, softer, to me, we have protocols to follow, Jack Reed. She knew my name. How the hell did she know my name? I let her pull me to my feet. The hall kept roaring around us, but in that moment it felt distant, like static. I'd just kneeled in front of a queen. She'd just accepted a nobody. And somewhere in the chaos, I realized my old life, the manifests, the booth, the quiet routine, was already gone. If you've watched this far, then this story is really interesting to you. Please confirm it by clicking like under this video. It doesn't cost you anything, but it will help me understand what story to publish for you next. Tell me, do you like the comic book style? Let's move on. They didn't let me walk out of the hall on my own 2 feet. Security drones flanked me like overcautious babysitters while Eira led the way, her silver robes trailing faint frost patterns across the deck plating. The entire station seemed to hold its breath. Whispers followed us in every language the translators could handle. I caught fragments. Human, commoner, insane. Medical bay was 3 corridors away, but it felt like a light year. When the doors hissed open, the place smelled like ozone and antiseptic. A tall, mantis-like physician with glowing mandibles clicked at us in harmonic tones that translated to immediate compatibility scan required. Consort candidate, disrobe to undergarments and lie on the table. I hesitated. Consort candidate, that's me? Eira's mouth curved, just a flicker. It is now. I stripped down to boxers, feeling every eye in the room. The table was warm gel that molded to my back like it was trying to hug me. Lights swept over me in slow waves, blue to violet to gold. The physician's mandibles clicked faster. Genetic stability, exceptional, it said after a long pause. Resilience markers far above baseline human norms. Liver function adequate. No exotic pathogens. Compatibility within acceptable parameters for cohabitation. Recommendation, avoid Xavir ceremonial spirits. Your hepatic response would interpret them as hostile incursion. I laughed despite myself. Noted, no getting drunk at the wedding. Makes the toast shorter anyway. Eira watched from the side, arms crossed, expression unreadable. When the scan finished, the table released me with a reluctant slurp. I dressed quickly while the physician muttered about unprecedented variables. Then the door dilated again, and 3 people walked in like they owned the place. First was Rick, tall, scarred, human, but with the flat stare of someone who'd seen too many battlefields. Ex-mercenary, easy to spot. His hand never strayed far from the pistol grip at his hip. He sized me up in 2 seconds flat. Biologically viable, the physician announced. Concerningly fragile, but viable. I'm right here, I said. And I've survived decompression drills in a burning cargo bay. Fragile's a stretch. Rick's lip twitched. Congratulations. You're engaged to a queen whose cousin tried to kill her 3 times last cycle. Cargo bay fires might have been better prepped than you think. Next came Sophia. Human, mid-30s, hair pulled back so tight it looked painful, business suit so sharp it could cut hull plating. She carried a data pad like a weapon and didn't look up from it. Sophia Chun, protocol officer, assigned to keep you from causing 19 more diplomatic incidents before the ceremony. She finally glanced at me. Current betting pool says you won't make it past 12. You stepped on the shadow projection of the Belt Ambassador during processing. That's a death challenge in their culture. My what now? We smoothed it over. Barely. She tapped her pad. Union ceremony in 72 standard hours. Per Confederation tradition, you and Queen Eira must spend 4 hours daily together in the adaptation period, essentially speed dating with legal consequences. Last was Martha, older Velith woman, silver threading her dark hair, ears swept back with quiet authority. Her amber eyes pinned me like a specimen under glass. Martha Voss, senior advisor to Queen Eira, 28 years in service. Survived a coup for assassination attempts and one diplomatic dinner where the food tried to eat the guests. She stepped closer. If you hurt her, disappoint her, or waste her time, the galaxy is large, but not large enough. I will find you. Her voice was calm, almost kind. That made it worse. Death threat noted, I said. Should I write that down, or is it implied forever? Martha's mouth twitched, maybe approval. The Queen accepted you for reasons I do not yet comprehend. My task is to determine if those reasons hold weight, or if exhaustion and 3 hours of humiliation clouded her judgment. Probably the second, I admitted. I got stuck delivering manifests during lockdown. This wasn't a grand plan. I just couldn't keep watching them treat her like scrap. Martha studied me a long moment. Something in her gaze softened, just a fraction. Yes, it was difficult to watch. Sophia checked her pad again. First adaptation session at 1900 hours, in the Hall of Mirrored Clouds. You'll need coaching. Your posture is atrocious, your dialect borderline insulting in 8 cultures, and you apparently believe greetings are optional. I waved at the ambassador. You waved through his soul shadow. We're lucky he didn't gut you on the spot. Rick snorted. 3 days to teach a freight driver court protocol. Good luck. I looked at the 4 of them, Queen, Mercenary, Protocol Hawk, and Silver-Haired Enforcer. Then at the transparent wall where I could still see the chaos in the hall. Ambassadors arguing, my boss's furious face on a comm screen somewhere, probably firing me retroactively. So, I said, trying for levity, I should probably apologize to my supervisor now. Shipping manifests aren't going to file themselves. Sophia didn't smile. Your employment was suspended the moment you crossed the boundary. Congratulations. You're unemployed, betrothed to alien royalty, and wanted for questioning by the Belt Diplomatic Corps. Fantastic, I muttered. This is exactly how I pictured my Tuesday. Eira finally spoke, voice low enough that only I heard. The Hall of Mirrored Clouds. 1900. Do not be late. She turned and left, robes whispering across the deck. The others followed. I stood there alone in the medical bay, heart still racing, realizing I'd just traded a quiet dispatcher job for whatever this was. And I still didn't know why her whisper at the beginning had felt like it was meant for me. The Hall of Mirrored Clouds wasn't a garden in any normal sense. It was a sealed dome on the outer ring of Nova Haven, engineered to feel like walking inside a living storm. Holographic clouds drifted overhead in slow spirals, lit from within by artificial lightning that never quite struck. Anti-gravity trees, actual imported saplings from some water world, floated rootless, their branches trailing upward like inverted waterfalls. The air smelled faintly of ozone and night-blooming flowers that didn't exist on Earth. Every step felt lighter, like the gravity was flirting with letting you fly. I arrived at 1900 sharp. Sophia had drilled that into me for an hour. Early was disrespectful in 4 cultures. On time was casual in 3 more. Late was unforgivable everywhere. I wore the stiff formal tunic they'd forced on me, dark gray, edged in silver thread that probably cost more than my last 6 paychecks. It itched. Eira was already there, standing beside a fountain that flowed upward in lazy spirals before misting into the clouds. She'd changed out of the ceremonial robes into something simpler. Deep indigo fabric that still caught light like liquid starfield, hair bound back with thin strands of what looked like frozen lightning. No crown, no staff, just her. She turned when my boots scuffed the deck. Those amber eyes found mine immediately. Jack Reed, she said. My name in her voice still sounded like something rare and deliberate. Your Majesty. I caught myself. Or do we drop that now? Her mouth curved. We are to be bonded. When the observers are gone, so can the titles. At least here. Relief hit me harder than it should have. Good. Because Sophia spent the last hour trying to teach me the difference between a formal bow and a polite nod, and I'm pretty sure I retained none of it. She is excellent at her job, Eira said, stepping away from the fountain, which unfortunately means she believes everyone else can absorb protocol through repetition and quiet disapproval. She gestured for me to walk with her. We moved along a path of floating moss that shifted color underfoot. The clouds overhead darkened, then glowed with simulated sunset. You compared me to expired cargo, she said after a moment. I said everyone was treating you like it. Not that you were. I winced. Important distinction. Accurate, though. She paused beside one of the anti-grav trees. Its leaves brushed her shoulder and lit from within, soft blue veins pulsing like a heartbeat. The Xavir Empire once spanned 12 systems. Trade lanes. Cultural archives older than most human colonies. Then my cousin Kyle decided the throne mattered more than family. She touched a branch. The light spread faster. He staged a coup. Minimal bloodshed at first, enough to look legitimate. Then the assassination started. 2 confirmed. 3 more they never proved. Suddenly we were down to one barely habitable world and a handful of outposts. Military gutted. Resources drained. And me, trying to marry into strength to buy us time. I watched the light travel up the tree. The choosing ceremony was supposed to fix that. It was. Her voice stayed even. Instead, I stood for 3 hours learning precisely how irrelevant we've become. The clouds rumbled softly, like distant thunder. For what it's worth, I said, that asteroid trader was a condescending jackass. And I'm pretty sure half those delegates rejected you because they were scared you were smarter than them. She looked at me sharply. Then she laughed, genuine, startled, like she hadn't expected the sound to come out. It echoed through the dome, bright and unguarded. You think I frightened them? You stood there with perfect composure while they circled you like a bad investment. Yeah, I think they were terrified. Nobody holds that kind of dignity unless they're either broken or extremely dangerous. And you didn't look broken. I felt broken, she admitted quietly. But you weren't. I shrugged. That's the point. We walked in silence for a while. The path curved past flowers that bloomed in colors my eyes struggled to name. Deep violets bleeding into impossible greens. The artificial sky cycled to twilight, painting everything in amber and rose. Why did you kneel? She asked suddenly. I exhaled. Martha has 17 theories. Sophia thinks I'm either a genius or catastrophically stupid. Rick's still deciding if I'm a threat. And you? Honestly, I was bored, my legs were killing me, and I was pissed off. 3 hours of watching people treat you like you didn't matter. Someone had to do something. I gave a half smile. Plus my knee gave out a little. So technically the kneeling was at least 50% accidental. She stopped walking, turned to face me fully. You offered yourself to the queen of a dying empire because your knee gave out. When you say it like that, it sounds worse. Eira studied me. You're either the most honest person I've met in years or the best liar. And I cannot tell which. Definitely the first. I'm a terrible liar. My old boss once knew I was hungover because I squint differently when I'm dehydrated. You went to work hungover? Manifests don't file themselves. Freight waits for no one's liver. Something eased in her expression, tension I hadn't realized she was carrying. Martha thinks I accepted you because 3 hours of rejection left me emotionally compromised. She threatened to hunt me across the galaxy if I disappoint you. Seems fair. And what do you think? Eira asked. Why did I accept? I met her gaze, watched how the mirrored clouds reflected in her eyes like captured storms. I think you saw someone who looked at you and saw a person. Not a political asset, not a liability, just someone worth standing up for. After 3 hours of being weighed like cargo, that probably mattered. She held my eyes for a long beat. I also think you're cleverer than you pretend, she said. Freight dispatchers don't usually quote leadership principles in spontaneous proposals. I didn't quote anything. You said I had more grace than anyone in the room. That's from Varen's Principles. Chapter 7. Grace under scrutiny reveals more than power in action. I blinked. I might have read that in school, or overheard it in a bar. The line gets fuzzy after a while. You read Varen. Waiting for customs clearance leaves a lot of downtime. You pick up hobbies. She smiled again. This time it reached her eyes, warm and unguarded. The adaptation period is meant to test compatibility, she said. Whether we can tolerate each other beyond necessity. Whether this alliance has any hope beyond politics. And I think you will either be the best decision I've made in years or the most interesting mistake of my life. I grinned. I'm rooting for option 1, but I'm braced for 2. That, she said softly, may be the most diplomatic thing you've said since we met. We kept walking, talking about small things, favorite bad station food, the absurdity of anti-grav trees, how she once tried to pilot a fighter and crashed it into a simulator wall. The clouds rolled on. Lightning flickered without sound. For the first time in hours, the weight on my chest lightened. I still didn't know why her whisper from the beginning haunted me. But in that mirrored hall, with a queen who laughed like she was remembering how, it almost didn't matter. The apex of the Confederation wasn't built for comfort. It was built to remind everyone exactly how small they were. The chambers sat at the station's core, a vast circular room with walls that rose 30 meters straight up, lined with tiered observation platforms where delegates from every major system watched like vultures. Acoustics were perfect, every word carried to every corner, no hiding from your own voice. The central platform floated on a grav field, surrounded by holographic law scrolls that rotated slowly, glowing with ancient text and fresh precedents. I sat beside Eira on the raised bench. The formal robes Sophia had forced on me felt like decorative curtains, stiff, heavy, silver-threaded. I kept tugging at the collar. Eira wore deep crimson edged in black ice crystal, calm as ever. Only the faint tension in her fingers betrayed anything. Across from us, on his own platform, stood Kyle. He looked like her, same elegant ears, same amber eyes, but where hers held quiet steel, his burned with casual arrogance. Robes cut to show off wealth rather than tradition, heavy with gold filigree that caught the light aggressively. He'd arrived 2 days earlier with a private fleet docked in high orbit, legal briefs already filed, and a smile that made my skin crawl. The Arbiter, a geometric entity that looked like someone had given math physical form, hovered at the chamber's center. Its patterns shifted as it spoke. Lord Kyle contests the legitimacy of Queen Eira's union. Proceed. Kyle's voice filled the room without effort. The claim is simple. Queen Eira has bonded with a commoner, a human freight dispatcher with no lineage, no connections, no rightful claim to share rule of Xavir. By our ancient laws, this invalidates her throne. The Xavir people deserve a legitimate ruler, not a desperate queen grasping at whoever kneels first. Murmurs rippled through the tiers. Kyle smiled wider. Eira rose. I'd seen her stand through 3 hours of rejection. This was no different. Composure like armor. I contest both the interpretation and the premise, she said. The laws Kyle cites were written 7,000 years ago, when Xavir was one planet and marriages sealed tribal pacts. We have evolved. Our understanding of legitimate rule has evolved. Tradition is not a cage. It is a foundation that must adapt. Kyle leaned forward. Tradition remains tradition. You cannot discard millennia of precedent because it inconveniences you. I do not discard it. I argue it must bend to circumstance, which is itself a Xavarin tradition, dating to the 4th Era Reform Council. Convenient, Kyle drawled, for someone who wishes to break every rule that binds her. Martha passed me a data pad under the bench. A single line across the top. Let them argue law for 10 more minutes. Then present the documents. I waited. They traded precedents like knife strikes. Eira calm and precise, Kyle smooth and mocking. The Arbiter listened, patterns cycling. After 8 minutes it interrupted. Both arguments hold merit within their frameworks. But the tribunal must consider practical governance. Lord Kyle, you claim rightful rule. What evidence supports your capacity? Kyle straightened. I have restored order to 11 systems, rebuilt military strength, secured new trade routes, brought prosperity to worlds failing under uncertain leadership. The people support me because I deliver results. I stood before I could talk myself out of it. The Arbiter's geometry shifted. Surprise, maybe. The consort wishes to speak? If that's allowed, I said. I'm new to tribunals, still figuring out when to raise my hand. Kyle's smile sharpened. By all means, let the freight driver contribute to legal proceedings. I'm curious. I activated the pad. Holographic manifests bloomed above the platform. Routes, timestamps, signatures, account codes. I spent 3 days looking at your trade agreements, Lord Kyle, I said. Shipping's my thing. Who moves what, where it goes, who pays. And I noticed something about your restored prosperity. Kyle's expression didn't change. I'm sure you did. Your military buildup needed weapons, plasma banks, shield gens, fighters. None came from registered Concordat dealers. Instead, the supply chain traces to 17 shell companies in Black Ring territory. The chamber's murmur changed pitch. Trade with frontier zones isn't illegal, Kyle said smoothly. Trade with a sanctioned pirate syndicate, trafficking weapons, raiding colonies, undermining governments, is very illegal. I checked the commercial code. Whole section on it. I expanded the display. Lines connected Kyle's worlds to Black Ring raids like a spiderweb. But you didn't just buy, you sold. Patrol schedules, lane maps, station access codes. Everything the pirates needed to hit 3 systems last year. 73 documented transactions. All routed through your shells. All signed off by you. Kyle's voice lost its silk. Fabrications. Authenticated manifests. Timestamps. Captain Sigs. Boring, detailed, impossible to fake. Martha rose. The Confederation has hunted the Black Ring for 15 years. Kyle hasn't just broken Xavir law. He's violated Concordat sanctions. Facilitated crimes that cost thousands of lives. The Arbiter's patterns accelerated. Lord Kyle, you will submit to investigation. Your fleet is impounded. Your claim suspended pending review. Kyle's composure cracked. He looked at Eira, hatred raw. You won't last, he said quietly. Even without me, Xavir is dying. You're delaying the inevitable. Eira met his gaze. Perhaps, but I'll delay it with integrity. More than you ever managed. Security materialized from the walls, moving toward him. Protests faded as they escorted him out. The Arbiter turned to Eira. Patterns settled. Approval, perhaps. Queen Eira, your union with Jack Reed is recognized. Your claim upheld. Your cooperation in exposing these crimes earns consideration for restored Confederation aid. Eira bowed, small, controlled. Xavir thanks the Confederation for its wisdom. We left the chamber together. In the corridor, away from eyes and perfect acoustics, she finally let herself smile. You took down my cousin with shipping manifests. It's literally what I do, I said. Was my job anyway. Still figuring out the unemployment part. Rick clapped my shoulder, hard enough to stagger me. Misjudged you. Anyone who weaponizes logistics has my respect. Does that mean you stop running background checks for assassination risks? Absolutely not. But I'll do it with admiration. Sophia was already on comms, scheduling shuttles and briefings. Departure for Xavir Prime in 6 hours. Press, governance meetings, 47 unavoidable appointments. You'll need another protocol session before we arrive. Can it wait until I process helping arrest a would-be emperor? No. Martha walked beside Eira, something like pride in her eyes. Your parents would have been impressed. With your arguments. And your choice of consort. They'd have thought I was insane. That too, but impressed. We reached the docking levels. Eira's ship waited, sleek, ancient lines fused with impossible tech. I paused at the ramp, looking back at Nova Haven's endless traffic. You're thinking this is mad, Eira said beside me. I'm thinking I knelt because my legs hurt, and now I'm heading to help rebuild an empire. Moderately insane. Do you regret it? I watched ships move like blood in veins. Ask me after Sophia's next briefing. If I survive that, I'll survive anything. She laughed, soft, real, took my hand. We walked up the ramp together. Behind us, the station spun on. Ahead, Xavir Prime waited, broken, but not hopeless. And somewhere in the back of my mind, her whisper from the beginning still echoed. But for now, it could wait. The shuttle ride to the apex had been quiet. Too quiet. Eira stared out the viewport at the slowly turning bulk of Nova Haven, fingers laced in her lap. I sat beside her, still in those ridiculous robes, trying not to fidget. Sophia had already briefed me 3 times on tribunal etiquette. Speak only when addressed, no jokes about logistics unless directly relevant, and under no circumstances wave at anyone. I nodded like I understood. Mostly I was still processing that I'd gone from dispatcher to accused consort in less than 4 days. The chamber doors sealed behind us with a pneumatic sigh. The same floating platform. The same vulture tears. But the air felt heavier now. Charged, like the moment before a plasma storm. Cal was already there, platform elevated higher than ours. His fleet hung in formation outside the station's viewports, sleek, black-hulled warships that looked more like predators than diplomats. He smiled when he saw us. The kind of smile that says he's already counted the credits from selling your grave plot. The Arbiter materialized at center, geometric facets spinning slowly. Lord Kyle of Xavir contests the union of Queen Eira and Jack Reed. He claims it voids her right to the throne under ancient statute. Queen Eira, you contest? Eira stood, voice clear, carrying without effort. I do. The statutes predate our interstellar era. They were written for tribal alliances, not galactic governance. Xavir has changed. Legitimacy is earned through stewardship, not blood alone. Kyle leaned on his railing. Blood and tradition define rule. A commoner, human, no less, cannot share a crown. This is desperation, not strategy. Murmurs rose from the tiers. Eira didn't flinch. Tradition adapts, she said. The Fourth Reform Council established precedent for exactly that. I invoke it. They sparred for 10 minutes. Precedents, clauses, interpretations. Kyle smooth and cutting. Eira precise, unshakable. I sat silent, data pad warm against my thigh. Martha's note from earlier burned in my memory. Let them argue. Then present. The Arbiter finally raised a facet. Arguments noted. Lord Kyle, demonstrate your superior capacity for rule. Kyle straightened. I stabilized 11 systems post-coup. Rebuilt defenses. Secured trade. Prosperity returned because I acted decisively. I stood. The chamber went still. The consort requests to speak. The Arbiter intoned. Kyle laughed softly. Entertainment, then. Proceed, driver. I activated the pad. Hollow displays erupted. Lines of cargo manifests, transfer logs, encrypted comm snippets. 73 transactions lit up like accusations. I looked at your prosperity, I said. Your military expansion needed hardware. Plasma banks, shield emitters, fighters. None from Concordat-approved sources. All routed through 17 shell companies in Black Ring space. The murmurs turned sharp. Kyle's smile froze. Frontier trade is legal. Sanctioned pirate syndicates aren't. You didn't just buy. You sold. Patrol routes. Station codes. Lane schedules. Enough for the Black Ring to raid 3 systems clean last year. All signed by you. I zoomed in on one audio fragment. Grainy. Old. A voice giving orders during a raid. Kyle's voice. The same voice I'd heard whispered at the beginning of this nightmare. You still remember that voice. My stomach dropped. 12 years ago. Earth uprising. A civilian convoy, my parents on it. Ambushed. Destroyed. No survivors. I'd chased shadows ever since. Old logs. Whispered names. Never a face. Until now. The recording played, low but clear. Target the lead freighter. No witnesses. Kyle's face went pale. The chamber erupted. Martha rose. These are authenticated Concordat archives. Kyle has aided a designated terrorist group. Violated every sanction. Cost thousands of lives, including civilians on sanctioned worlds. The Arbiter's facets spun furiously. Lord Kyle, your claim is suspended. Your fleet impounded. You will submit to full investigation. Security fields snapped around his platform. He lunged forward, eyes locked on Eira. Pure hate. You think this saves you? He snarled. Xavir is finished. You're just the last flicker. Eira met his gaze. Then I'll flicker with honor. They dragged him away. The doors sealed on his final curse. Silence fell. The Arbiter addressed Eira. Your union is legitimate. Your rule upheld. Confederation aid packages will be expedited to Xavir Prime. Eira bowed. We are grateful. We left the chamber. In the corridor, Sophia was already on comms, rerouting shuttles. Rick walked point, hand on his pistol. Martha stayed close to Eira, quiet pride in every step. I lagged behind a moment, staring at the closed doors where Kyle had been. Eira noticed. She touched my arm. You recognize the voice? She said softly. Not a question. I nodded. 12 years. My parents. That convoy. I never stopped looking. She didn't speak right away, just walked beside me. I heard it too, she said finally. In the aftermath recordings. I thought it was coincidence when you appeared. But now, she stopped, turned to face me fully. I whispered it at the beginning. To the empty air, because some part of me hoped the voice that haunted those files would one day answer back. I swallowed. You knew who I was? Not at first. Not until the manifests started lining up. Then I remembered the whisper. And I wondered. We stood there in the empty corridor. Ships moved beyond the viewports like slow stars. You didn't come for justice, she said. You came because you saw someone being hurt. I came because I was pissed off and my legs hurt. I corrected. Then softer, but yeah, maybe part of me was looking for that voice all along. She smiled, small real. Fate has strange routes. Like shipping lanes, I said. They look random, but everything connects. She took my hand again. Come, the shuttle waits. Xavir Prime is calling. I followed her toward the docking arm. Behind us, the apex chamber stood empty. Ahead, a broken empire waited to be mended. And for the first time in 12 years, the voice in my head was finally silent. The shuttle slipped away from Nova Haven's docking arms like a quiet promise. Stars wheeled past the viewport, cold, endless, familiar. I sat beside Eira in the small passenger cabin. No robes now, just simple travel clothes for both of us. Her hand rested lightly on mine. Neither of us spoke for the first few minutes. Xavir Prime grew slowly in the forward screen, a pale blue marble streaked with silver clouds, scarred by old orbital rings and faint auroras. Home, or what was left of it. Before we broke atmosphere, she turned to me. That voice I whispered at the beginning, she said softly. I heard it years ago, in the black box recordings from the Earth convoy attack. The orders, the cold certainty. I never forgot it. When you stepped forward in the hall, I thought it was coincidence. Just another human. Then the manifests aligned. The voice matched, and I realized fate doesn't always announce itself with trumpets. I exhaled slowly. 12 years chasing shadows. I never thought the answer would be standing on a crystal podium, getting rejected by half the galaxy. She smiled, small, wistful. You came for justice without knowing I was searching too. That matters more than any throne. The shuttle dipped into re-entry. Atmosphere glowed around us like fire. I squeezed her hand. Looks like we've both been waiting for each other for 12 years. The landing lights flared. We touched down on a windswept platform overlooking ruined spires and stubborn green valleys trying to reclaim old cities. Martha, Sophia, and Rick waited at the ramp, already arguing about security perimeters and protocol schedules. Eira stood first, offered her hand again. Ready to rebuild something broken? I took it, stood beside her. Freight waits for no one, I said. Empires probably don't either. We stepped out together. Wind tugged at our clothes. The sky above Xavir Prime was wide and clear. Real stars, no station hum. A truck driver and a queen. Into whatever came next. Thank you for listening to this story to the end. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Write in the comments what moment in this story impressed you the most. Tell me, do you like the comic book style? And also check out the other videos that just appeared on your screen. See you in the next video.